Greetings and welcome to Smartwatch Tics. This is a special beginner's video and a good refresher for any of you out there that own an Android standalone smartwatch phone like the Kospet PRIME. We're going to be using this one for demo. It comes to us from GearBest. We encourage you, if you like this watch, to use a show link down below to purchase it. That's how we keep things going here. Now, let's move into this. There's a nice source on the internet called fullandroidwatch.com, and they got their logo here. I'm going to keep this up because this is a place you want to go any deeper with the technical stuff you're about to see. So you get yourself a brand new watch. We're going to guide you literally from the very beginning. When you take it, you open it up and you take it out of the package. The very first thing you're going to want to do before you even turn it on is grab the charger. It's either going to be a little dock that you slap on the back of the watch and plug into a USB port, or it's going to be a cable. Either way, plug that into your computer, your phone charger, or any other kind of charger that you've got to charge this thing up. When you've charged it, and preferably overnight, so you got a nice good charge on it, you're going to follow these steps to make sure you get things right. First thing you're going to do is turn it on. Now, it's going to go through a boot up process, and while it's doing that, you can do things like take off the little plastic cover if you like, and when it's finished, it's going to come to this screen typically. This is the one that shows all the different languages that are available in the watch. Usually, at least in the United States, English, United States is selected. You're going to confirm that. You're going to get all this kind of stuff related to your height and weight and whatnot. You can fix that if you want to, but I'm suggesting you just skip it because one of the procedures here is to wipe all this out and start all over again. So just say confirm. You get this, go down here and hit that button and hit that X. And then you're going to pop into the opening watch face, which will be different on different watches. Now, here's what we're going to do, walking you through the idea. We're first going to get this connected to the internet. You have to have that in order to check for updates. Secondly, we're going to change that timeout so it's not closing out on you like right away. Third, we're going to go and we're going to check to see if you have a firmware update. And I chose this watch in particular for this reason, and that's because it does have an update waiting for us. So I press here, I slide over here to the right. Now this one has a bubble menu, and some of them have an arc menu. You're looking for the gear, that's settings. I'm going to click there and go into settings. I'm going to come down. Well, first let's go to display and let's change that timeout. See where it says sleep? I'm going to change that whatever you like, but something meaningful. I'll say 5 minutes. It can go all the way up to 30 minutes. Slide to come back. Now, I'm going to come all the way down here to connect. Connect is where we can set up Wi-Fi. You go in here to Wi-Fi, you turn it on, and it's going to start looking for your networks that you have, and you're going to select one, put in your information, and get yourself connected to the internet, okay? There, you see? Okay, I'm connected to the internet on this one here, and now, the next thing you would do to update is go all the way to the very bottom where it says About Watch, and we're going to touch Wireless Update. But before you do that, I suggest you go all the way to the bottom and make a note of these last two things called the kernel version and a build number. Primarily look at the date, Wednesday, September 25th, blah, 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 2019, okay? That's the current firmware. That's what we're keeping track of, and that's what we're updating. Now, I'm going to go through the update process, but this is also something you may want to do before you do an update, is to see what these updates are about, find out about them. That's a good place to go to that resource, fullandroidwatch.com, and see what your watch can do now so you can compare what it'll do later. Let me give you a highlight about this particular watch. You remember we went over here and we saw this bubble menu? That's going to go away in the update because it's sluggish. It makes everything really, really sluggish. That's this app style. I'm going to change to an arc. This option is going to go away in the update, and you're only going to have like this. But did you notice how long it took to go into that It's going to become instantaneous. That's one of the big changes. Another one has to do with the fitness. The fitness section has got the old style in this one, and it doesn't use the GPS properly to interface with your outdoor run and cycling and walking and things like that. So an update is going to correct that and enhance the fitness area. And there's a few other little goodies that are being addressed with the firmware update. So now let's do it. We go over here. We come back into the settings. From the settings, we go all the way to the About. And here you touch on Wireless Update. And it checks for updates to see if there's anything waiting. So the first step you're going to do is download the new version. There, we're just about completely downloaded. And you can see these buttons here, pause or cancel at the bottom. They're going to change as soon as we hit 100% to say install now and install later. Now, if you're concerned they're a little off the screen and you're brand new to this, remember you can press and hold the top button. You can click that little round circle turning it to a square, hit cancel, and you see it changes and puts it into a square. And now the buttons are easy to see. That toggles back and forth. Pretty cool trick, huh? We want to install now, so I'm hitting that button. It gives us a warning, making sure that you're at least 30% charged. But of course, you're 100% charged because you charged it up before you tried any of this, right? Good. Now we say OK. If we could tap that button, there we go. And now it's going to unpack the firmware package. It's going to reboot the watch, and it's going to install that update. So it reboots it up to a certain point, and then you get this bar that goes across the screen, which happens while it's doing the installation. Show you up to that point, and then we'll take a break and wait until it's complete. There we go. Gets a little head start, and then it slows down. So I'll be back when it's done. Just another thing to point out about this Kospet PRIME, one of the reasons you might be interested in this if you don't have it yet, it's got a really good sized battery in it, and it seems to really work well. It lasts quite a bit longer than most Android watches, which means between 1 to 2 days rather than 6 to 10 hours is kind of what I've been seeing. It also has 2 cameras, a front-facing one here for doing selfies, video logging, and chatting with your friends over Wi-Fi when you're connected, or cellular if you put a SIM card in it. And it has one on the side as well that you can use for taking pictures if you want to. Other than that, removable bands, it's all in all a nice watch. All right, so it finished the installation, and now it goes through and it's going to reboot itself again. We'll be back when it's fully up again. There we go, and it's telling us that installation is complete. Your system has been updated to the latest version. You can hit OK. We're back to a watch face. Now we're at the critical point, the fork, where one of you is going to go this way and the other you is going to go that way, but I'm going to recommend you both go this way. That's on factory restoring your watch. If you just got this, it's fresh out of the box, and you're going through this procedure, and you did have a firmware update, you definitely want to do this next step. You're going to come over here to the apps. You notice it didn't go to the bubble apps, and you notice that when we come down here, we don't have, let's see, that was in settings. We don't have that. Oh yeah, we still do. Okay. Bubble and art. Well, that means we got more than one update to go through. Okay. Well, this is good. We're going to be doing that. All right. Anyway, yeah, remember I told you the bubble was going to go away, but it hasn't yet on this one. So what we want to do now is called a factory restore. If this is brand new for you, you went into settings, you're going to come all the way down here to reset equipment, and you're going to come in here, skip all of this other stuff, and go down to factory data reset. That literally resets the whole thing. It's going to wipe out anything in your watch. Here's where we have the 2 different kind of folks. Those of you who haven't set this thing up at all, you're not going to lose anything. But if you've had your Android watch for quite a while and you've checked for an update and there is one, This is that fork in the road. It's a good idea to do a factory data restore, completely reset the watch, because it cleans out any of the leftover garbage before the firmware update, and it can enhance the speed and capabilities and functionality of your watch. But it's not necessarily required. It's just an enhancement. So if you have a lot of apps in there, if you set everything up the way you like it, you can skip this step and just go to the next one right afterwards. But for all of the rest of us, we are going to reset the watch by pressing that button. It says it's going to erase everything, and we're going to do it again. We press the button, and now it's going to reboot. So you see why at the very beginning of the video when I showed you the languages and then you could put in all of your height and weight and everything, I said, just skip through all that, skip, because we're going back to that exact same spot again. And this time, we're going to skip it as well. You see it said erasing? Because we're going to check for another update before it settles down. That's the game. One after another, you check and install the updates until it says there aren't any waiting for you. I'll be back when we're ready for that part. Yep, here we are. I know some of you like to see all of the languages that come in these. You're looking for Hebrew or, I don't know, Greek or something. So I'm just going to take a moment to show you the different languages in case you're international and thinking about buying one of these watches. This being one of the most modern ones has the largest extent of languages I've seen so far. Don't rely on the spec sheets that you see oftentimes for the total number of languages. The best is to actually get the chance to see what's installed. Now you remember English was selected, so I'm just going to say confirm. I'm going to say confirm. I'm going to skip that one by hitting return. I'm going to X out of that one, and I'm going to get back to the basic watch face. Then I'm going to come over here. It's still in the bubble mode now because we just rebooted it. I'm going to go into the settings. I'm going to go all the way down to about this watch, and I'm going to take a look at the kernel version. Look at that. It's Thursday, October the 10th, 2019. It has been updated. Yep. Now we could go through and look at some of the other changes that one did, but first, even without changing the timeout or anything on this, I'm going to go into wireless update, and I'm going to check for updates again. Oh, that's right. We can't do it until we're on the internet. So let's do that first. So we were on the internet now. You saw how I did that before. I checked to see if there was another version, and there is. We made note already of what the newest one was up to this point, so we're going through our second update. So always, if you check for a firmware update and you have one and you install it, make sure after you do the factory data restore that you come back and check again, because we've got another one, folks. And it's going to start downloading this one. So I'll be back when we're ready to install it. And installation will be exactly like we saw before. Once it's completely downloaded, you have the buttons change here. Oh, and by the way, it's good to do change that screen timeout before you begin all of this. Also, if you slide up, you'll be able to read on each of these what the actual installation is going to do. Optimization of the system and minor bug fixes, it says this time. And you can hit the install now, and it's going to go into the recovery mode and go through the whole update process. So let's do that. Install later, install now. Going to do that one, and then I'm going to do something special, and I'll come back and tell you about it. Here we go. Unpacking the package and rebooting to do the installation. Now, skipping ahead, getting through the factory restore and coming back to this point again, which of course we're set to 15 seconds timeout. Everything is at the very beginning. I want to pick up right here because I'm about to show you something that is brand new and may start showing up on all Android watches of the future as a result of Pablo 11. You may have heard that name. That's the tag name of a guy who is behind the fullandroidwatch.com website, is working directly with the firmware developers for the firmware for all of these watches. And check this out. After the latest firmware update, I'm going to select English. Now we have something new, imperial or metric. Finally, you don't have to figure out how many centimeters tall you are or kilograms you weigh, you can go into imperial system, confirm that, and look at this. You can enter all of your data in the British or English imperial system. I know, the rest of the world, you could care less, but us in America and other places, we're really happy about that. So thank you, Pablo11. Great work, really nice. You'll also see this in just a minute when we look at what the changes were from this latest update. Once again, I'm just going to exit all the way through. By the way, those screens are used for tethering to the WearOS 2 app on your phone. Later, you do that after you've done all of this basic stuff of the firmware updates. So here we are. I'm going to get over here and get into that settings and change that timeout so that we can play a little bit. Again, we just did a full factory restore after we did the latest update to the software. And now, what are we going to do? Yep. Well, first, we got to go back onto the internet. And then we got to go check and see how we are on the firmware if there's another update. So I'll do all that for you behind the scene. All right, I'm on Wi-Fi, and did you notice when I'm scrolling down, this is where you had the choice of the bubble menu or not, and now it's replaced with measuring. That's what we saw in the startup screen. And when we come over, look how fast it goes, and it goes right into the arc mode. So, decision point, if you really love the bubble menu, updating to this firmware is going to take it away. But it's also adding a lot of cool features, including that full integration of GPS to the fitness, and something else I'm about to show you too. Well, if you're really attached to the bubble menu, you have to cut off doing certain updates at a certain time, right? But if you want a fast, snappy, responsive watch, we got to let go of that Apple look and go to just something simple like this. Okay. The face unlock on this one has been updated through the different firmwares. I haven't showed you the details of that, but you do have those in separate videos to see. And now let's confirm what we've got. Inside settings, at the very bottom, about this watch, we come down to Thursday, October the 17th, right? 2019. That is the latest version. I've let it sit for a few days now, and I'm coming back to you on this review because I heard there was a new update coming. Once again, there's the current version. Reminder, you want to do this regularly with your watch. There is no automatic update as far as we've seen for these smartwatches to check and automatically update the firmware, so you need to come in here periodically and hit that check for updates. Let it go through the process, get connected. Of course, you got to be on Wi-Fi, and it'll report back to you that you're on your latest version. As you know, all these Android watches come with a selection of stock faces in here, some few, and sometimes there's more. These are pretty robust in the Kospet watches, and you can add custom faces. Now, that's advanced level of work, and I'm not going to go there with you on how I did this, but this watch face that you see here, and pay attention to those green fingers on these 4 spots on the watch face. This particular watch face is created by Alrod, one of the senior watch face designers. And this special watch has what they call active complications. We learned that from Apple. Those are the touch spots on a watch that when you touch them, they can actually take you somewhere. Like touching that would take you to heart rate, or touching that would take you to calendar. This watch face is active like that. And it was first discovered back around the Lemfo LEM10 time frame, in that neighborhood. Some of the Kospet watches, like the Optimus Pro and the Kospet Hope, they have the ability to be touched, sensitive like this, and go into different things when a watch face is created to do that. This watch, however, had a bug, and that bug in this firmware update is still there, because as you can see, it's not touchable. Well, that's something that Pablo 11 has come in. We've got that metric English as a result of his efforts, and he is animate about that fix happening for the clock engine in this particular watch and all future watches, because once they figure out the bug and they solve it, that should translate to upcoming watches. So new watch faces designed for Android watches can have spots that you can touch that will take you to different applications, including specialty ones that you can install later, like Google Fit or Google Maps or something like that, not just limited to the stock ones. But I wanted to show you this, that in this version of the firmware, it's not working. So it begs the question, is there another firmware update? How do we do that? We make sure we're on Wi-Fi. We go all the way to the About the Watch. We already looked at which version it is, right? October the 17th. And then we go into wireless update and we check it all over again. Bing! This time it worked! Check it out. Down here, kernel version. Look at the new date. November the 6th, Wednesday. Nice. Not only now are the active complications working, which I'm about to demo. Here's that same watch face. I can touch it in the calendar area. And he says, bring up the calendar. By the way, the two touches, usually the screen is locked, so you always have to touch once to unlock it and touch a second time to activate it. Heart rate comes on when you touch that section. Over here, see the person running, and the 000, that's your actual step count, brings up the full-fledged fitness app, which, by the way, is another update to this. When you go over to where you have your other activities that you've done on the watch stored, and you go into any of these, and you see your basic information, and you come down to historical track. Now, when you click on that, not only do you see your track, but you're going to see it against the Google Maps for your area, for where this was recorded. All your past ones will now have the Google Maps right there, correct, with the latitude and longitude included. And of course, all your future ones will incorporate that Google Maps. That's been a big issue with first the integration of GPS with the fitness, and now the actual inclusion of the Google Maps display, so you can see your actual location information directly on the watch. That's all in this update. And there's more. Watch this. When I come over here to the app drawer, and I go into settings, and I go into app style, which is now back, and I tap on bubble. Yes, folks, the bubble has returned. It's a little bit of a lag, but it's there. So those of you that love this bubble, and by the way, it's only back because those of you who were disappointed it was taken out, made noise, talked to Limfo, and talked to the full Android watches gang, and through enough desire to have the bubble returned, they delayed the release of the update and were able to put it back in. So we're stable on this version, and that's basically where we are in terms of the full setup and the process you would go through to unbox your watch, charge it up, put it on the internet, check for updates. If there's updates, install them. After they're installed, reboot. After that, clearing it all out with a factory restore, coming back like it's brand new again, setting it all up, getting on the internet, checking for updates, and do it over and over again until you're where we are right now, where there are no updates waiting. Now, as this is for beginners, there's something else I wanted to share with you before we leave this setup process, because now you're ready to move on to the next step, right? And I got a little resource center for you at this address on the web, tinyurl.com/AndroidWatches. When you go there, you drop into my Google Drive partition. And this is a screenshot, basically, of what it looks like. I've got some different documents in here. They're in various stages of being updated. Oh, hairy thing. But some of them, like the Android spreadsheet, where I tried to keep track of all the different Android watches and their characteristics, is way out of date. Sorry, I just haven't had time to get it updated. So it's way back when Android 7.1.1 was just starting, I think in 2018. Anyway, the other ones, though, I try to keep up pretty regularly. There's recommended apps that you can put in. There is the tethering apps and the links to them for all of the different watches. There's some common questions answered and some comments from viewers and things like that. There's the spreadsheet. That's the one. In addition to that, there's a bunch of different apps that I recommend that are no longer in the Google Play Store. They've been pulled, and you'll know about those if you've been watching any of our videos. In particular, Display Brightness and Floating Toucher. Those two are great. So these are the apps that you can download. If you're on your phone, I believe you can just go into this. It'll tie into the Google Drive. You can download them to your phone. You can use the WII Watch 2 app that you're tethering to the watch to send files over here. And you're basically sending the thing called the APK, which is the package that contains the app. It's not installed. It's just copying it over. Once you have it in here, you go into File Manager on your watch, you find it, you touch it, and it'll go through the process of installing it to your watch. After it's installed, you can just remove and delete the APK file, or you can keep it on there in case some future date you want to do it again or something if you need to. All that said, and I know I said it quickly, this is a resource for you. It's sponsored by the DT #1 watch company. They're helping me try to keep this thing active and updated. And there's some good stuff in here. Again, you would get to that by going to the link tinyurl.com/Android watches. It's all totally free. Here to just basically support you in what you need in the realm of Android watches. Little video clip from #1 so you can test out the audio and video capabilities of your watch, and so forth. Okay, well, that's everything I wanted to show you today regarding this particular watch. And again, here's how you can get it. This one's called the Kospet PRIME. And this is an old cheat. It's in the pre-sale price, but it's now out on the market. We are in the realm of 11.11 and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so the prices are hot. If you're watching this during that time frame, this is a good time to grab it. If it's after that, well, check the show links down below. Do it anyway. Use the link that we provide in the show notes if you want to check it out. Go over there. That creates a little breadcrumb that will follow along so that if you purchase this watch or any other products from GearBest, we'll be able to get some credit for that and help keep this channel going. Okay. Thanks for being here and sticking with it all the way through. It sometimes sounds complicated and complex, but it's really not. It's kind of like learning how to use your phone with just a few little twists. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for being here.